Hello, everybody. Well, have you ever been betrayed? So, you know when you have a friend or someone you think is a friend, and then they keep something from you, they hide information that's very important and could actually help you? Well, Jose Raul Capablanca, you've kept that under your hat for a while, didn't you? Okay, it's not even his real name, it's a pretend name, yeah? Anyway, there's a new gambit in town. And you never told me about it. Why did nobody tell me about this gambit? Okay, so what's it called? It's called the Hector Gambit, and you can play it against a Scandinavian. And it's got my name. Well, it hasn't. It's got Hector's name all over it. But you know what I mean. Anyway, JRC, you kept that quiet. You sneaky bugger. Anyway, so we're going to start off. I'm going to show you a game that Jose, as he calls himself, Jose Raul Capablanca. Who's that? He was a grandmaster. What's a grandmaster? A genius player. Anyway, but this is between two 1900s. Okay. And it's great. And I mean, this is right up my street. So, by the way, if you know any more of these, tell me. Now, so anyway, so Jose sent me this game. And it's an absolute beaut. So we have the Scandinavian defense. Now, what have I been playing against the Scandinavian? I've been playing the Blackmar-Gambit. They take knight out, and then you can go into the Von-Popiel. Okay. This is okay. But this is better. This is what I'm going to do, I think, from now on. I'm going to go back to my roots and play the Scandinavian modern. Okay, so the mainline Scandi, you take... Queen comes out, you might hit the queen, or even develop knight c3 is good as well. And this has been known for centuries and yawn, right? But the modern Scandi here, you're kind of saying to black, what are you going to do? You're going to push on, you're going to take the pawn. You can get into the Icelandic gambit, where you give up 2 pawns and then develop your bishop to hit. A bit like... yeah, our old friend the Charlick, actually. That's interesting. But anyway, let me show you. So this is more like the von Hennig Gambit in the Caro-Kann. And I'm scoring unfeasibly well with the von Hennig. I'm winning about 2 out of 3 games, which you've got no right to do. And I'm winning a lot of them inside 10 moves. Okay, but let me show you. So here's the point. If they take, right, you develop your bishop. We've seen this before. This is von Hennig style, isn't it? Yeah? And of course, so the difference in the von Hennig is that you've played this and they've played this. Okay, so we're kind of, I think we're ahead of ourselves now because we haven't made as many pawn moves. Your D pawn is still at home. Their C pawn is still at home. Okay, back to the action. Obviously, we are attacking this pawn in the middle of the board. And there's a couple of things they might do. You know, the von Hennig, sometimes you get the bishop coming out to f5. I don't know how common that is. But the most common move, yeah, bishop f5, you played like a third of the time of that. So 1 in 6 games, you'll get bishop f5. More than half the time, you'll get knight f6. It's perfectly natural. Knights before bishops, kingside piece rather than a queenside piece, which helps you to castle short if that's your plan, you know. And occupies the centre, so knights before bishops, all that kind of good stuff. So that's why it's played more. And now we play pawn to f3. Stop me if you've seen this before. Right, now, what you are hoping for is by far the most common move. Now this position, I'll tell you, I'm looking at 1600, 1800, 2000 in rapid and above only on Lichess. Okay, so we're looking at strong intermediate, and I've excluded the blitz and the bullet. And I'll tell you why in a minute. Right, so this is the most common move, EF by far, and here it's simply knight takes f3. Now, there's a couple of moves here. E6 if your opponent gets a whiff of danger, but if your opponent is feeling bombastic, then they may play bishop to g4, and this is a mistake. This is a mistake. Right, because where do we find? Of course we are in oh no my queen territory or bishop takes f7 check territory. Okay, now in the game So interestingly, from this position, in fact, in this position, Stockfish is telling me that knight e5 is the strongest move. Go figure. Well. And then bishop drops back to e6 and whatever. Okay, so knight e5, nothing wrong with this. Jose plays bishop takes f7 check, which is, in the von Hennig, we know at least this is more principle. The king has to take. There's nothing else for it. Now knight e5 with check hits the king and the bishop. The king will move. By the way, if the king moves back to g8, he's toast, generally, right? 14 times that position has been reached from here, 93% win rate for white. So there you go. So the king should go back to there. You grab the bishop. In the game, knight takes. They do this a lot. And in the von Hennig, by the way, when you've got a pawn on d4, you can still recapture with the queen because the queen defends that pawn on d4. And we're doing hunky-dory, right? They've got an isolated king's pawn. You're about to castle and stick a rook on the open f-file. All you have to do is get this bishop out, stick the other rook here. The queen's out in the board, just causing mayhem. Black's got zilch development. He's fried. The computer says it's only plus 1.5 in white's favour because material is equal, but hey. So in the game, black plays pawn to g6. I'm guessing just to kind of maybe defend the pawn, make sure it's protected by another pawn. Maybe they want to get the bishop out to one of these two squares. I don't know. Jose now castles, right? It's an absolute no-brainer. Put the rook on a completely open file. There's nothing on that file, and it's pressure armor now. Okay, so this is the point of black's idea. They wanted to play the fianchetto with bishop to g7. Jose now swings the queen right over to a4. The computer didn't like that at all. The computer disapproved fiercely of that move. The computer says knight e4 here was better. But we are playing meat, not silicon. Okay? Queen moves forward now. That's inaccurate from black. Queen now comes back to b3, threatening our favourite square. Opponent just goes, right? This player, by the way, is rated 1992. And it's a 10-minute rapid game, okay? Just let that sink in, okay? Jose plays queen f7 check. The king is going to be forced to move. Black resigns. Okay, are you with me? This is interesting. I'm loving this. Okay, now, so I've got obviously a lead chess study here. You are welcome to view this, play with it, copy it, whatever you like, okay? So I'm going to show you now 4 other lines that you might meet so that you are fully prepared. The Scandinavian, we play the Scandi modern with knight c3, they take, we bring out our bishop. Von Hennig style. Out comes the knight. These are all the most common moves. Push, takes, and now out comes the bishop. Okay, so we're familiar with this. Okay, so this is our preferred line. This is not the most common line. Okay, so we take on f7 with check. King takes, knight in there, we capture. Now, if the queen comes out to d4, right, this is actually the most, well, I say the most common move. This position has only been reached 19 times. Makes me think this is slightly less common than the von Hennig Gambit against the Caro. 19 times, queen d4 has been played 6 of those times. Okay, now what we don't want to do here is play knight takes f6. This is not good for us. We don't need it. If, after the queen recaptures, we can't castle. Okay, so unintuitive, you bring your knight back to e3. The point is that the knight is now blocking the queen's view of g1, so we could short castle if we want. We don't have to though. Queen comes over here. You can just push g3. There's no problem here. Okay, comes with tempo. Queen has no check on e4. We're fine. Okay, if the queen comes forward, this is the most common moves. You strike out in the center, and after the most common move c6, we're absolutely fine. Okay, you've got queen e2. You've got knight to e2 as well, threatening to come here, right? Hey Morgan. Or just bring the bishop out to d2 as well. We're going to castle long, get our rook on the other well, semi-open file here, push that pawn through, and we're doing absolutely fine. It's plus 2.4 for white. Okay. Now, an alternative on this. If they fully accept the gambit, thank you very much, you take with a knight. Okay. So what have we done here? We've given up one pawn, essentially the f-pawn. Okay. Now, the f-pawn's an interesting character in chess, because when the f-pawn goes, yeah, you've got to be aware of this. This is the whole point of my repertoire, really, right? And of course, very often in the Vienna Gambit, the f-pawn is gone as well, right? This is why it's called the Freddy Krueger, because, oh no, they killed Freddy. Oh my God, they killed Freddy all the time. We're always killing Freddy, right? But at the same time, when you get to short castle, you get to enjoy that nice view down the f-file. Okay, this is the point. Okay, so here, in Blitz and Bullet, you go, oh no, my queen. Oh no, my queen outscores, and for some reason the engine says knight e5 is the stronger move, right? In Blitz and Bullet you can do that. If you're playing rapid or classical, you should go principled and capture with the bishop, right? They take, knight takes, okay? So previous move we saw queen coming out to here, but the second most common move is knight takes. You capture with the queen, they try and trade queens, you have none of it. Queen f3 is the engine's recommendation. We're eyeing up this pawn here. We've got our queen on the open file. We're preparing to short castle. It's plus 1.6 in white's favour. This position has only ever been reached once between NPC player and Tactical Squirrel. And NPC player won with the white pieces. Okay, as is fine. Right, two more other variations that you need to know. This is actually the most common response that you will get, right? They will only take this like a quarter of the time, but 36% of the time, hang on. Oh no, yeah, fully accepted, 36%, apologies. We're going to look at if they push on in the next one and decline with this, right? That's actually more common. Okay, they take, out comes the bishop, fully accepted, right? E6. So your opponent is sensitive. They know they've got soft and dangly bits on f7, like as black does. So they push here. Now what to do? So the hint that I've added is, bless her and all who sail in her, right? Now, maybe if you're not British, you might not get that, but it's QE2. The QE2 was the former Queen's yacht or sailing ship or whatever, because she had the Britannia as well, didn't she? Wasn't short of free stuff, that woman. Anyway, so Queen E2. It's an unusual move, but it does come up a couple of times actually. Or very often a move to remember. A lot of beginners don't play this move or Queen E7 enough. It can be very, very powerful. You're sticking your queen in line with your opponent's king, for one thing, right? You are shielding your own king. You're getting the queen off the back rank. It's a developing move, okay? They will most likely play bishop to here, and we're going to hit the center. We're going to push d4. It's defended by our knight. They will castle. We come out with a bishop, and long castles here again. Okay, so I'm showing you all the most common moves. You can go over this and over this and over this. It's Harry time, h4. They do this, and now, what would you play with the white pieces? Bishop d3 from here scores very well, okay, as does bishop b3, particularly in blitz and stuff like that, but even stronger, arguably, and the engine recommendation is pawn to d5. You just ignore that. If they take, you take here, right? And now you're hitting the queen with the discovered attack. Queen has to go there, if you know, and then you recapture this pawn. And we're doing perfectly well from here. Nobody's ever reached this position before on the Lichess database, from what I can tell. So, you know, maybe you will, maybe you'll enjoy it. And finally, we're going to look at the actual most common sideline, which is if they decline. If they don't take the pawn and just push on, right? This is actually good for black. Obviously, you spin the knight round there like you do in a lot of openings. You get that in like French stuff, and you get it in Petrovs and stuff like that. Okay, this is good for black, right? We challenge immediately with c3. They will do this. You spin your knight away. It seems like we're wasting a lot of time here, but and also it seems like black is getting an awful lot of space. Okay, but never fear. Okay, they bring out their knight. Bishop c4. We're eyeing up this pawn, obviously. They'll bring out their knight. You bring out your knight. They bring out their bishop. Bit of a passive bishop that, but it's kind of just holding the line there. And now finally we push d3. And this is actually pretty solid. Okay, white does all right from here. It's like 42% for white, 50% for black. So, you know, this isn't the ideal situation that you want to be in, but you've got a fighting chance. If black castles next, they have a tiny, tiny edge. Otherwise, it's dead even. So play on, crack on. But anyway, thank you, Jose, or whatever your name is, for the submission. Really do appreciate it. I've definitely found a new weapon against the Scandi that I think I prefer to the Blackmar lines and Von-Popiel gambits for sure. And by the way, anybody, if you know any other variations of this kind of idea where you throw the bishop out, I don't know if you can do it in the French with the Geertz-Peters gambit. I need to go and check that. But Kruger followers, there's a new gambit in town. Enjoy it. I can't wait to use this in real life. I'll report back soon. Thanks for watching. See you later.